Welcome to the Go Slow to Go Fast Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Kendra Chapman, mom of triplets, busy professional, caffeine lover, and a big believer that when we slow down, we actually show up more fully. If you're navigating career, family, life transitions, or all of the above, you're in good company. Because around here, we don't chase perfection. We are building rhythms that support peace, clarity, and joy. And if you've been needing a little nudge to refocus on those goals that you set maybe at the beginning of the year, or you're possibly rewriting those goals, this is your sign. Today, I'm honored to welcome my special guest, Amy Lenius. She's the director of group coaching at Next Level University, a professional speaker, event coordinator, MC, and a Next Level certified professional development and success coach. Let's lean in to learn a little bit more about how to stay motivated and reset. Even if you aren't meeting your goals, tomorrow's another day. So let's go. Amy, I just want to say thank you for sitting down with me today and welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm really excited for our conversation that we're going to have today.
Yes. And I asked all my guests the first question out the gate, how do you go slow to go fast?
What a cool question. How do you go slow to go fast? I deeply believe it's all about sustainability. If you were doing something in an unsustainable way, you're going to burn out and not do something consistently. You can't build momentum and leverage the compound effect if you can't be doing something consistently. And I think people, when they hear consistent, it has to be perfect. And that's such a mistake, because if you're trying to do something at 100% every day, then it's not going to be sustainable, and you're actually going to need to take time off because you're going to burn out. Whereas if you are doing it in a sustainable way, you are going to be able to leverage momentum and the compound effect that allows you to keep going. And so what is the 100% you can give to something today? And that looks different. It looks different every day. Your 100% today might look entirely different than it did last week when you were full of energy. Maybe you were at the great point in your cycle for women and you are just feeling yourself and it's a whole thing. And now this week, you're in a very different energy. And what it took you, bare minimum effort last week is now taking you all the effort you have this week, because compared to last week, you're at about 30%. And so how can you give 100% of that 30%, not pushing past and going into a detriment and going into a deficit? And the more we can honor that and allow progress over perfection and things to come in and allow that grace and adaptability to come in, the actually more momentum you're going to have and the faster you're going to be able to go, because you're not yo-yoing in a start-stop.
Yes. And I think, for a lot of listeners and viewers out there, they may be wondering, I want to do something. I want to start something, whatever that looks like for them. But like you said, it doesn't have to be perfect. So don't wait until you get it just right to get started. Yeah. And I like how you said the compound effect. Can you explain that a little bit more for people that may not know what that is?
Absolutely. So the compound effect is you doubling your energy and efforts as time goes on, because your capacity not only grows, but it's just the natural progression of what happens over time if you give something enough time. And we see so many people in this space who are building into a version of their unique success, not give themselves or the thing itself enough time. And so we've all heard that saying where if you double a penny every day versus taking, I should never use this reference. Numbers don't stick in my head at all. What is it? You double a penny for a day and it ends up being way more than you think it's going to be, rather than just taking what seems like a big chunk of money. That is the compound effect. It's you doubling every day versus just inching.
Yeah. And I think, it's going to look different for everybody, but I think the key is consistency. And, your effort doesn't have to be the same level every week, like you said, because we may not have the energy to do it the same every time. But as long as we're consistent and show up and keep, doing our thing, I think that's where you get that compound effect like you spoke about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's
Hmm.
naive and a bit delusional to think you can bring the same amount of energy and effort to something every week or every day.
Hmm.
Life is only so proactive. We also have to deal with a lot of reactivity when it comes to life. And that, takes from us energy wise and time wise. And so we still need to be able to navigate all these reactive things and get the thing done in a day. That looks different
Yeah.
every day.
Hmm. Yeah. So, you know, I've shared your background in my intro and speaking about, what you've been doing in the world up until this conversation. But you have a coaching background, you coach groups, which I think is harder than coaching one on one personally. You are a speaker, you're an entrepreneur. Yeah, I mean, you're doing all these great things. So can you talk us through a little bit about how you got started in that work?
Absolutely. And I agree. I think you're right. Some people believe it's easier to talk to groups. Some people believe it's easier to talk one on one. And now, am I your first exposure to Next Level University, or have you connected with Kevin and Alan at all?
I connected with Alan and had him on the podcast earlier. And Kevin and I just haven't been able to connect. Like, I think we set something up and then we're going to push it off for a little bit.
Amazing. Okay. So Alan is
Yeah.
like me. We believe it's easier to talk to someone one on one. And Kevin loves to talk to the group. And so there's no right or wrong, but it's just dependent on your preference and your abilities to speak in certain ways. Speaking one to one, you get to be way more specific with someone. On a podcast, I actually find it's even harder because when we're talking about success principles, it's hard for me to tell you how to implement them if I don't know your specific situation. And so learning to speak on a macro versus a micro is a whole thing. So I agree with you 100% there. And thank you. So I partner with Next Level University. I am actually what is considered now an intrapreneur in an entrepreneurial journey. So Kevin and Alan started Next Level University about 9 years ago, and I have come in as an intrapreneur to partner with them to build out that mission that I deeply believe in so much. And so that all started way back in things that don't seem to make sense to where I'm at now. I actually started my education background as in anatomy and physiology. And I myself grew up very sick. And so that combined with my education brought me into deeply wanting to speak into women's health and women's lives. And so that progressed into a small setting, natural wellness space of speaking into rooms and to women, which expanded into bigger spaces. Then I was on stages, public speaking, which is wild because not very many people strive to actually become a public speaker. It's a fear more than death for the for most people. And I was never driven to, oh, I want to be a public speaker at all. But when you have something to say and you see the impact it has on people when you say it, it does become something that you deeply become called to do. And so I kept speaking on women's health, and my keynote was called Holistic Healing for Your Hormones. And that grew into having a group coaching program of my own for women. I had a podcast for a little while, and that's how I met Kevin and Alan. I was a client first. I loved everything they were doing. I loved going to book club. They were coaching me and producing my podcast. And one day I sent one of my presentations to Alan. And I said, hey, you're a public speaker. I would love some like genuine feedback on what you think of this, because so many people, when you ask them, what do you think? They are just amazed that you were up there. So it's great. And so I wanted some genuine feedback. And Alan came back to me with some really good feedback and asked if I wanted to MC their live event for them the following spring at this point. And it just spiraled from there. I went down to the States. I'm in Canada myself. Went down to the States, did the live event, and just fell in love with everything that they were doing and who they were as people. When you get to see someone in person, not only like behind the scenes in the Zoom world and things, but then you see them in the front scenes and their professional being, and then you get to see them in person when that all matches and is actually even more than you expect. What a special circumstance to come across, because more of us are more in front of the scenes because we're building for perception than being more in the real world behind the scenes and actually building a real life with real success and real things. And I find that's becoming more and more rare now. Most people are online building for perception rather than, they're trying to look good rather than be good, I find. There's a little too much of that. And so stepping into with these guys, seeing that they're more behind the scenes than you will ever see in front of the scenes, and seeing that integrity and seeing their heart and their mission into helping the world find their own unique version of success in a holistic way. Holistic meaning everything affects everything else. So they're empowering people with health, wealth, quality of life, and love, because they all go together to create authentic abundance and fulfillment. And so that I just fell in love with. So from there, it was, helping them with trainings and different things. And then we started group coaching. I got to come in and be assistant coach on group coaching. Now I have my own coaching programs through them. And I actually just got back 2 days ago from the States doing our live event that I got to speak at this year. So it's been a whirlwind of 4 years now, but it is the best. And I'm obsessed with the work that we get to do.
Yeah, and thank you for just kind of summarizing your path and how you met Kevin and Alan. Because listeners, if you haven't listened to that podcast, you can go back and listen to the one with Alan, and I'll put the show notes in there for that episode number. But they are, they're fairly young guys, and they've been very successful. They're not afraid of hard work, and they're doing good work. I agree. I came across them in pod match. We matched up and had good conversations, at least with Alan. I haven't met, Kevin yet in a podcast setting. But, it's interesting to see that you feel, or not see, I guess, but it's interesting to hear that you're seeing more of that needing community and connection in person. And I think that is a great message, because, a lot of us are online. We listen to podcasts. We go onto YouTube to look up information. How many of us are actually watching regular TV anymore these days? It's kind of interesting. I don't know about you in Canada, but it seems like in the US, I hear more and more people are just watching YouTube and maybe a couple of subscription channels. And, I think the couch time is probably increased rather than decreased. So my husband and I are trying to be really vigilant about getting our own children outside and involved in more things and just getting off the couch. So it's kind of sad that we have to do that, but it's kind of where we are.
Yeah, it's really easy to fall in love with things that aren't good for us all the time. And
True.
to be discerning of virtue versus vice. And vice has its place. It really does. Like me
Mm-hmm.
curling up on the couch with my kids with our favorite snacks and watching a nice family movie and things. That is in its own way virtuous, but also through the lens of vice. But if we did that all the time, that's how you can tell the
Yes.
difference between virtue and vice. If
Yeah.
you are in something that is
Mm-hmm.
vice and you do it all the time, is it going to be
Mm-hmm.
detrimental over time? Dip your
Right.
toes there, don't live there. And so we love that
Mm-hmm.
lens in our house, virtue and vice. But there's so
Yeah.
much online space now. And I don't know personally, but like other Canadians and things, it's funny, I was at Kevin's house while we were doing the event. So I was down in the States at Kevin's house this past weekend. And he was like, "Oh, let's watch this thing." And it was on YouTube. I'm like, I never think to just watch something on YouTube, but I know I'm weird. I'm the weird one in that, for sure. Like, I love just a good series, one that I know is good, one that I've watched
Mm-hmm.
before, actually, typically, so I can just kind of zone in and out and just have my little moment of something I know is going to bring me joy, and then back in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would say it's probably only been the last couple of years that we've seen the lean to YouTube. But I think it might also be because my children are getting to that age where they're fascinated with certain creators in that space. So, the Mr. Beasts of the world. But, it's interesting. It kind of keeps you young, but at the same time, we've got to teach the younger generation not to get into the vices so much. Use
So
them
much.
intermittently.
I know. How old are
Yes.
your kids?
They're 11. I have 3 boys, triplets, and
Oh my
they're
goodness!
yeah, they're a lot, but, it's good because they keep us on our toes. You know.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. Now, with growth mindset, are you seeing, just, I don't know, in your conversations with groups as you coach or one-on-one with people, and just in that space with, maybe in your own household, are you seeing any kind of pushback on the growth mindset conversations these days? Or are you seeing people kind of leaning into that more?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's tough because we're in a bit of a biased community. People who are growth minded are the ones that tend to like us. If you have a fixed mindset, you don't stick around for very long in our communities because we're all about growth and we're all about the unsexy fundamentals that take time and effort to do. And if you don't have a growth mindset or you have any kind of entitlement attitude or anything, you don't stick around very long. But I do see that we have a lot of, we call it the tortoise and the hare. So Alan right now has an incredible digital asset that he's created about the tortoise versus the hare. And it's the unrelenting tortoise versus the entitled hare. And on the hare side, it's someone sitting there streaming. They have just like garbage around them and they're very entitled and just this very entitled energy. And it's like, I'm going to get something for nothing. I'm going to sit and just expect things to come to me. And the tortoise on the other side is about growth and effort and putting in the work and understanding that it takes time to get there, but you're going to be unrelenting in that pursuit. And I love that asset so much because that is what we're seeing right now. We're either seeing you are so far gone on this side of the hare that you are not going to have any kind of big change in your life unless you make some big changes yourself. And if you have a fixed mindset, you actually don't believe that those changes are possible. So you're not going to put the time and effort into doing it. And then the other side is the tortoise. The tortoise understands that growth is possible. You actually never reach the goal of your highest self or of your most growth version because there's always more, just like self-belief, self-worth, your ability to be consistent, whatever it is, your skills even at speaking or anything.
Mm-hmm.
That because I just came from a speaking engagement, but they can always get better. There isn't a point of I have arrived when you are deeply in the growth bucket. And so there's something really freeing and actually empowering in that if you're a growth oriented person. If you're a fixed mindset person, that actually sounds really daunting and kind of what's the point? So even there, knowing what bucket you're in is really, really valuable because you can see where something is going to be hindering your goals versus not. It's all about self-awareness. There's nothing necessarily right or wrong about it. It's more, is it optimal for the life you want to live? Is it optimal for the goals you are trying to achieve? If you have a fixed mindset and you're trying to achieve some goals, you will hit a ceiling very quickly. But anyone can switch into a growth mindset. It's just like anything. It takes time. It takes practice, awareness. It takes new thoughts, which require new skills. But having that switch from being a fixed mindset, I can't change, the world can't change, nothing can change, into the world can change, especially if I change, is very empowering. And it's worth the transition to get there, especially if you are recognizing that you do want more from life.
Yeah. Yeah. And, in my experience being in the education space, being in schools as a teacher and an administrator and a parent, I've seen on both sides. I notice when kids that where things would come easy to them in younger years. And then as they get older, they say that, certain grades are going to be tougher than others, like grade levels. So in the US, the odd grades are tougher. I don't know if you experience that in Canada or if it's just a totally different education system, but mine are in fifth grade right now. So it's a tough year because the math builds and builds and you have to know so much and you have to keep going. The language arts, reading skills, they don't stop. So, of my three, the ones where it just comes easy and they don't have to try, when they do hit a wall, that's where they have a meltdown. And then the one I have two that are like that. And then I have one that is going to try different ways to get to something. He's going to access the information in different ways because he's creative. And so I look at them thinking, okay, you're just going to attack it in different ways when you come to a challenge. And that growth mindset is going to hopefully serve you well. But I would say two of them do have a fixed mindset sometimes. They just think, oh, I can do this. I can coast. But you can't. And it's just interesting to hear, that people are still kind of either in that fixed or that growth, but they can change, like you said. And, that it goes back to that research from Carol Dweck. I think she's a professor in California. I'm not sure which institution, but it's a great concept.
Mhm.
But then when you're a parent, it's like you want to say, great job, and keep going. But you realize you really have to say something different. Like, I like the way that you did this, but let's think about doing it this way differently, next time. And it's that feedback. Do you find that giving feedback is maybe not difficult to give feedback, but is it difficult to maybe receive for some?
Oh, very much so. Oh my goodness. And that comes down to someone's individual level of self-belief, self-worth,
Mm,
self-awareness, their ability to have humility. So whether they can get feedback versus give. So as a coach, for me personally, it's easy for me to give feedback in a way that builds someone up. It's so challenging for me to give feedback in a way that needs to bring someone down into reality, bring them down of, actually, you're not great at this thing yet. I need you to not let your foot off the gas. We have to keep building this skill. That's more challenging. But that also is a bit of a projection from my own core wounds and my own things. I don't like giving hard truths or poking people's bubbles because I have this fear of losing love in relationships. And so it's working against me a little bit there. But if you have someone who has high humility, high work ethic, and they have high self-belief, so they believe in their ability to create an external outcome with enough time and effort or learning and implementing, people take feedback, no problem. There's a lot of people out there, I myself am one of them, where you can tell me where I'm messing up all day. Absolutely. Yep, you're right. Yep, absolutely. You think I don't know? I know that. Yep, definitely. I struggle to hear where I'm doing really well. That makes my nervous system feel dysregulated, and there's a lot behind that, but I struggle more with compliments than negative feedback. Tell me where I'm sucking.
hmm
Absolutely. And
Yes.
then with children, so I have 2 boys, and one has really high self-belief. They don't struggle with any kind of negative self-talk or, if they don't get it right, they're just like, "Oh, I'll just try again next time," or "I'll just try this different way." Like, it's no big deal. Whereas my oldest, if they don't get it right, it's like, "Oh, see, I suck." It's like, and it hurts my heart so much, but I have to speak entirely different languages to these 2 boys. And
hmm
knowing that, so if you're a coach out there, if you're pouring into people's lives in any way, it's really important to know what language you need to speak with someone. Because if I speak to my oldest who struggles in that way, the same as I speak to my little guy who has very high self belief, he believes that if he just puts more time and effort into something, he can get it. It's not a big deal. I'm doing detriment to my
Yeah.
oldest. It's not a good language for him. And if I speak the same language to my youngest as my oldest, he's like, yeah, I know. What did we do? I know. I'll figure it out next time. It's no big deal. Like, don't baby me kind of thing. And so
hmm
knowing who you're talking to is so important. That's why I even struggle with a lot of coaches out there. Or you see now programs being sold on how to become a coach from this one lens. Oh, you're going to be this kind of coach. And assuming that protocol that you're learning to be a coach in works across the
hmm
board.
hmm
And it
Yeah.
just
One
doesn't.
size fits all. Yeah.
Oh, it
No.
just doesn't. Now, there are fundamental success principles and things that make sense
hmm
for any version of success, but how you transcode that into someone's life and teach them how to implement it is so different based on the individual, which is why I love working with individuals versus speaking to the macro.
mm
But it's good to be able to do both,
Yes.
like we said.
Yeah. 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 And I'm finding, I'm seeing a lot online these days about these coaching programs. And I wonder, I'm not as well versed in like the packages of the online, you know, coaching programs, but I would think people would want in-person feedback, whether that be on a screen with a live living human breathing
Mhm.
person, but or in person with somebody. But I guess, there are people out there that are thinking maybe taking an online course works too. And I guess everybody's a little different. But I'm hoping as we move forward in the coaching space, you'll see more of that value placed on live coaching, to be more of a resource because it really scares me. I don't know about you. I wouldn't say scares, but it really worries me that people are relying on Chat GPT for coaching
I know.
or all the other AIs out there when all it's doing is just reaffirming and, basically kissing your butt and telling you how wonderful you are.
Literally. Literally, I'll look stuff
Yeah.
up on there and then it'll just be like, yeah, good question. You're basically the greatest of all time. And I'm just like trying to look up something like how to fix the
I
time on
know.
my computer.
And you're like,
No.
thanks. I just need directions. Mm.
Yeah. And so people who struggle with hard feedback fall into that kind of trap because it's so feel good. It's so, it's so affirming. It's so, we need to
Yeah.
be so
Yeah.
discerning with who and what are
Mm-hmm.
speaking into our lives because you can have too much wind blown in your sails and you are going to stop growing because you all of a sudden think that you're the best. And
Yeah.
that's a dangerous place to be. It's like when you're a big
Mm-hmm.
fish in a small pond. You're never going to expand because you're at the top of the food chain and it makes you really comfortable to be there. So you're going to stay there instead of jumping over to the
Mm-hmm.
next pond where you're now the small fish and you have to come up a few levels to be able to
Yes.
hang in this pond. And
Yeah.
knowing that about yourself is so important. This is why we constantly always go back to self-awareness. Again, there's no right or wrong pond, pool, insert another analogy here. Is it serving you? Is it optimal for the life you want to have, the goals you have, and the things that you want to build? Because at the end of the day, you don't have to do anything. Use ChatGPT all you want. Be affirmed all you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is it getting you to where you want to go? And then if it's
Right.
not, then that's where we need to assess. No one has to do anything, but I love when goals come in because the second you have a goal in place, you have such a powerful filter to now discern everything in your life for or against the goal. Anything. You want to have a healthy marriage. Okay, I have something on my heart that I want to share, but I'm nervous. I don't want to share it. It's going to be a hard conversation. Which one is for or against the goal? Suppressing yourself and allowing that to come out later as something bigger and maybe more explosive than it needs to be, or just suppressing yourself so you're a muted version inside of your marriage is not for the goal. You having the hard
Mm-mm.
conversation is. And I
Yeah.
love this lens
Yeah.
too, because it's never, on average, the easier choice, but
No. No.
it is
Who
the
wants to
optimal one.
dive into that
I know, but it's the optimal
conversation?
one for
Yeah.
your goals. I love using fitness
Mm-hmm.
as an example as well. We have a fitness community at Next Level University, and we just came off of our once a year 10-pound in 10-week challenge. Now, some people are losing 10 pounds and some people are gaining 10 pounds. They're in their bulk season. They want to gain muscle. Well, the advice for
Mm-hmm.
the 10 pounds trying to lose is opposite of the people who want to bulk. No right or wrong. It's just for which goal. That's the thing. You
Right.
want to increase calories for the bulk.
Mm-hmm.
That is not aligned for the people who are in the cut. It's the opposite. So again,
Mm-hmm.
it's what is optimal for the goal. Nothing is good or bad. It's optimal or not
Right.
for where you want to go. And I just taught this at Next Level Live. If you can learn to combine goals with self-respect, and let those two things be the filter that you run everything through, persons, places, things, ideas, beliefs, everything. Is it for or against the goal? Is it building or decreasing my self-respect? I just had coffee with, let's say her name's Linda, and I feel really heavy now. I don't feel like I just had a great energizing visit with my friend where I feel like I've gotten this burden off of me. There's a weight off my chest and I feel so energized because Linda's the best. No, I actually feel less than now. I feel kind of gross. There was a lot of gossip. There was a lot of, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel my best now. That's a self-respect hit. And those interactions need to lessen over time to increase your self-respect. Or maybe you have a
Mm-hmm.
goal and Linda only likes to go out for fish and chips. That's it. That's all she'll go out for. But you have a goal to lose weight and you are dedicated to eating more fiber, getting in clean proteins and packing in the vegetables. So you want to go to a place that offers chicken salads and things. Linda won't go. She's now against the goal as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
needs to filter out. Best you
Yeah.
can.
We got to make sure what we're bringing in is aligning, right?
Yes. And the more
Mm.
you understand of what self-respect means to you, what belief, what worth means to you, and very specific on what your goals are, I don't want to say it's easy because the choices you need to make to get there are rarely easy, but they are optimal, and they get easier over time the more you make those choices, the more you have the hard conversation of, listen, Linda, I love our time together, but maybe let's gossip less and let's go to a healthier option restaurant. And if she says no,
Mm-hmm.
now she has to go. And that's
Yeah.
tough. That's not
Yeah.
easy, especially for someone like me who really values relationships to a detriment to myself. I will be the martyr forever and build others up versus anything to do with myself. Now that's an old version of me. I've come a long way in that, but it's
Mm-hmm.
still my natural tendency and I need to know that. I need to have that lens available to, am I falling into old patterns where I'm going to people please and appease to this person because I don't want to lose love? Self-awareness is a superpower. It's a
It
superpower because
is.
you know these triggers, these traumas and things that are running you unconsciously. As soon as you know what they are, they're still going to be there, but you get to run them consciously and discern, is this action I'm about to take running me from a wounded space? And is it for or against the goal? It's hard, but it
Mm-hmm.
is so worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if anybody out there listening and watching has ever written a goal and then a couple of weeks or months later looked at that goal and realized what are they doing to, like you said, are they helping meet that goal or not? And what are the actions that they're taking next? And I think that's a big question that people need to ask themselves. I mean, I was just thinking about this earlier this morning that whatever we want to achieve, it's all up to us. We just have to decide what
Mhm.
we want. And then we have to, create the environment and the reality that will get us there. But it sounds so easy, but it's so complicated.
It is. It's complicated, but the more clarity you have, so say you have a goal, the more clarity you have on what that's going to take of you, the more certainty you have, the more certainty you have, the more action you are going to be able to take, and the more action you take, the more momentum you have towards the goal. Clarity creates certainty, certainty creates action, and if you really want to go deeper, action creates dopamine, which helps increase the momentum. If you can learn to tie your dopamine to action
Hmm.
towards your goal versus just YouTube all the time. So
Right. Right.
leverage these kinds of things is, again, the superpower. But I find most people either don't have enough clarity on the actions they need to take. So basically just that how to, or they
Hmm.
don't have enough accountability. Accountability really helps. We like to think that it doesn't. We like to think we can do it on
Hmm.
our own. But Alan says this all the time because his background is in the fitness space. He's like, anyone can look up how to lose weight. Very few people can do it because you need someone to get
Right.
you to do it. And I am absolutely victim to that. I still send my calories to
Sure.
Alan every day. Every day.
Mm.
He is committed to helping me lose weight, gain muscle. Sometimes I'm in a cut, sometimes I'm in a bulk. Right now I'm in a bulk and it's
Hmm.
actually really hard, but I send him my
Mm.
calories every day and he helps me do that because I know I won't do it for myself.
Hmm.
I do it because
Yeah.
he told me to. He told me that he's going to look at it every day. And if I don't send it to him every day, he's going to be disappointed. So we're leveraging the fact that I will people please over do something for myself. That's a
Yeah.
conscious
Yeah.
leverage, right? And so
Hmm.
that's the difference between, again, positive versus detrimental. But accountability is really important. And that's why we have the fitness group. It's a beautiful space just on WhatsApp. I think we have almost 60 members in there where there's people
Mm.
dedicated to some form of movement almost every day. Not everyone's on an everyday schedule. Kevin himself is not even on an everyday schedule, but it's just motivation in there. You know, the guys go in with their heavy bodybuilding stuff. They're these
Hmm.
bodybuilder bros, Kevin and Alan. It's unbelievable.
Right.
They're so strong. It's wild. I go in there with I went on my nature walk today. Look at my yoga. So
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
welcoming for everybody, but it helps you unconsciously or conscious leverage the fact that, hey, there are people in there posting stuff every day. I'm going to get off my butt and
Hmm.
do something as well. So clarity,
Hmm. Yeah.
accountability, and just an accurate time perspective. How many people give up on something too soon because we see
Yes.
so many things nowadays that say, oh, lose 10 pounds in a weekend. Oh, become a millionaire in a week with this course. It's like, no, no.
Yes. And
Uh-uh.
it's like we all fall prey to that instant gratification here and there. It could be anything. It could be food, it could be,
Absolutely.
like you said, wealth, health,
Yes.
anything. We think it's going to come quickly and it still requires time and effort And like you said, self-awareness.
Absolutely. We
Yeah.
teach this in our group
Mhm.
coaching program. We have a podcast accelerator program. We do it once a quarter, so 4 times a year. And we take 10 people and we help them grow themselves, their podcast, and their business. The first 4 weeks is always dedicated to growing yourself because you are your podcast and your business. And so we're going to teach you things
Mhm.
like self belief, self worth, your goals, your core wounds and what's running you and all of these things. And then in the podcast 4 weeks, we do go for 12 weeks, 4 weeks, we are teaching them the power of reality, realistic expectations, and longevity.
Mm.
Most shows don't make it past 20. A huge chunk don't
Yeah.
make it past 50, and it is very rare for a show to make it past 100 episodes. So it really is staying power and just consciously getting better over time. And that just takes
Right.
things like doing the recording, allowing progress over perfection and messy action, and then reviewing and getting a
Mhm.
percentage improved the next time. And
Yes.
doing that
And looking at
again,
your data, like yeah,
yes,
we've got to pay attention to the data.
looking at the
Yeah.
numbers and not just, we call them vanity metrics. We're not just looking at the
Mm.
vanity metrics, we're looking at the real numbers that make a real difference that you can start using to make real impact or make your choices that you want to make based on your show, your business, how you want to have your podcast become a part of the funnel of the business you want to
Mhm.
build versus just, it's a whole thing. But
Yeah.
that giving people the gift of accurate time perspective when it comes to any goal, building a beautiful relationship, being a conscious parent, losing or gaining weight,
Mhm.
whatever that goal is there, becoming healthier mentally and emotionally. It all takes time. It all takes
Mm.
effort. But if you can learn to hone that time and effort into the things that make the difference every day, you will get there. And you will get there in such
Mhm.
a way that it builds such a solid foundation that it won't crumble again.
Yeah. So I don't, want to take up too much of your time. I know you're a busy person. And before you go, can I have like maybe two or three more questions for you? How do you focus in? Like, how do you focus to make sure you're meeting your objectives and goals? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, good question. So I have my goals and I make sure what I need to do to get there every day fits into the life I have now. We talked about this at the beginning of reactivity versus proactivity. I'm very conscious of how reactive my day really is. I homeschool my kids. We have a lot of pets. Like there's so much just reactivity in my day that I need to be aware of and be able to give grace to if I need, but still pull in the grit I need to later to get the thing done. If the thing that I am trying to do every day is too much, it's never going to be sustainable for me to do all the time. So even let's say my personal fitness journey, I don't go to the gym for an hour every day and lift weights. That would not be a reality for me. One, I live in a teeny tiny town that doesn't even have a gym. I have to go to the town over, which is a 45-minute commute just to get to one. Already I'm out. I can't fit that into my day. I have a very full life in my day. It's beautiful, but it's very full. Homeschooling, like I said, household, business, entrepreneur, all the things, entrepreneur. It's busy. It's very full by choice. So I have to discern what is aligned for my day and what isn't. What is for my self-respect and my goals and what isn't. And a huge part of that is my household and is my family. And so I am building something with the lens of I have a young family right now, and that quality of life comes first. And then what can I fit in based on my own growth later? Now, I also make sure that I myself am doing very well. I have things that I do for myself every day that fill me up and give to me so I can continue to give to my family and to others in this way. So what are you doing for yourself every day? Again, it's lovely if you can go, like we just had that big event over the weekend. That's amazing. That's not sustainable for me to do all the time to fill my cup or for the people who came to spend that whole day with us. That's not something people can do all the time. What are you doing every day that is moments for yourself so that you're filling your cup so that you are giving what is best of you to these things instead of what is left of you? It's a really important thing to be able to discern. What are your cup fillers? And what is a small, medium, and large version of that? The small ones are every day. The medium ones are ones that are, I don't know, once every couple weeks or once even a week or a month, whatever that looks like. And then maybe there's one big one that is your supercharger, but isn't feasible all the time. Again, knowing that about yourself, so important. And sustainability is everything. So I know I can't go to the gym for an hour every day and lift weights. I would never be able to sustain that. The commute alone would take up way more time than I wanted to. And one, I'm not going to lift weights every day. It's not for me. Absolutely not. So for me, when Alan was helping me break down into what is going to be sustainable for my life to move my body every day, we came up finally breaking all the details down. I'm going to move my body in an aligned way for 30 minutes every day. It's small enough that it works. There's a measurable thing in there where I have certainty. It's either 30 minutes. That's what it is. It's 30 minutes and that's my done point. So having something measurable is really, really important. It's either done or it's not. And then having wiggle room in there for someone like myself, even for women alone, it's so important we have variety and are able to honor the season we're in, even cyclically with our physical health and all sorts of things. And so I have enough wiggle room in there to some days, yeah, absolutely hit some weights and crush it and things. But then there's some days where it's been one hell of a day. And you know what? The kids and I are just going to go for a walk at the end of the day up our dirt road. And that's what it is. But it's still me honoring that. It's still giving enough sustainability with enough adaptability, given grace into it. And there are some days absolutely where I have to pull grit. You cannot be consistent in something all the time without having a day where you don't want to do it. And you have to be like, F my feelings. What's for my self-respect right now? Doing the workout or not doing the workout? What's for the goal? Doing the workout or not doing the workout? And you just have to get it done. And it's okay if it's at 30%. It's okay if it's that check the box version that day. The point is that you're consistent and you're building that over time. And as you consistently do something over time, your capacity expands and you can grow. Some people say, well, if I only do 5 emails a day, that's not enough. It's like, well, you were doing none. You were doing no emails a day. Let's start at 5. And when that is consistent enough and you can do that every day, no problem, then we'll up it to 10. I do this with people with their social media all the time. They're not consistent posting on social media. So I'll say, well, let's start with 3, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And they're like, well, that's not enough. Maybe we should. I'm like, no. Get consistent giving me the 3 and then we'll see. But we always have to be conscious. There's something called the challenge skill sweet spot. So if Alan said to me, okay, well, let's just work out for 5 minutes a day, I would never do it. I would never do it because it seems like, okay, well, there's no point. There's no point in doing that, in my opinion. Now, for some people, 5 minutes a day is a great place to start. That's in their challenge skill sweet spot. For me, it was like, my brain is going to tell me that that's not worth it. So we're not going to do that. But an hour was too much. No, too much challenge. So challenge skill sweet spot. What is that for you? Be humble in that. Be self-accurate. It's okay if you have to admit to yourself, I've never been able to work out consistently in my life. So I'm going to start with 10 minutes and build from there. You are going to be more successful than the people who constantly go from 0 to 10 and cannot be consistent for the life of them.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's so many moms out there listening, women, busy women, entrepreneurs. And I think we have to make a decision about what we value and what we want in our day. And like you, I put my family first. I'm not in a school setting anymore. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and it's been the best decision I ever made. And I don't see myself going back. But I've got to do things. I've got to work, and that sometimes looks like I just have to shut the door and work for half a day. And it's so be it, and get through whatever it is, posting on social media and all the things that I don't enjoy, but we got to do it. But yeah, we've got to decide what we value and do it consistently. So any final thoughts that you might have for anybody out there that's just they're on the edge of trying to decide what they want to focus on to meet their goal? Any last, I guess, motivational thoughts that you want to share?
I mean, give yourself the grace of sustainability. I think that's really, really important. If it can't fit in your day, it's not sustainable. If you can't do it every day, it's not sustainable. And you need to have some self-awareness there. And there's nothing wrong with that. You are going to be ahead of most people if you can bring something down to the point where you can do it every day. And you just mentioned something about not enjoying posting on social media. Same. It's the worst, actually. So everything we want to do, and here's where I think the toxic positivity culture comes in, where they say, oh, if it's meant for you, you're not going to hate any part of it. There's not going to be a resistance, this and this. I love what I do, but there are aspects of it that I absolutely hate and I don't want to do ever, but I do. Because everything we want has a want, love, hate attached to it. I want to add value in the world. I want to have coaching clients. I want to fill group coaching and pour into those people. Those are all the things I want to do. I love the skills and the person it requires me to be to do so, and building those skills and doing that. I love all of that. I hate posting on social media. I hate it so much. I do it every day because it's a part of it. Now, could you imagine if we only focused on the parts of the job that we loved and never did the things that we didn't want to do? You're not going to get anywhere very fast, or maybe you'll get somewhere really fast, but you won't stay there. There are always aspects of want, love, hate into everything. I want to have a more fit and healthy body. I love doing certain exercises. I love going for walks and things. I hate calorie counting. But guess what? That's a part of the goal. If you're doing all of those things, but you're not tracking your calories, you're not doing the whole picture, and you're maybe not even going to get to your goal. It's not fun, but it's a part of it, and it's worth it. And so the more you go into a goal knowing that there are going to be hard days, there are going to be days where you have to pull in grit and move aside the fact that you don't want to do it, or let go of your perfectionism because you just have to check the box. There are days where it feels hard. But if you go into a journey knowing that, you're not going to get off the path too soon. You're going to be like, oh, this is one of those days. I already know that this was coming. This is a part of the process. So I'm actually okay. I can sit in the fact that today sucks. Absolutely. But you know that tomorrow could be better, because any success goal is not like up and to the right, straight trend line. It's always like this. There's always highs and lows and peaks and valleys and dips and things. Always. And if you go in knowing that, then on the hard day, you're not going to be like, oh my gosh, I suck, or this thing that I'm doing sucks and is not working for me. No, it's just a hard day, or it's just a shitty thing that you have to do, and you're going to move forward, and it's going to be okay if you consistently do so.
Yeah. We all have those days. So we just have to hang in there and keep pushing. Yeah. Okay. Well, Amy, are you going to go for a walk today, or have you already gone outside and done your thing?
I have. It was a beautiful, kind of like moody, misty morning, so I had to get out there before my calls. But I am hoping that it's a little bit nicer later and I get to go out again. If not, I'll do some weights or something in the living room. But I do, because it's such a heavy work day for me. It's my basement dwelling day. My office is in the basement, so I'm in this chair for a really long time. I like to be able to get out when I can.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay. So where can people find you and the work that you do in the world to learn more about you?
Oh, you can reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook. It's just at Amy Lenius. And you kind of alluded to this earlier. We are really big into the human-human connection now, into like authentic, real community and real human connection. So if you reach out to at Amy Lenius on Instagram and Facebook, it is me in my DMs. It's not an assistant. It's not an AI. And if you are interested in anything I said, Next Level University has a community available for you in something that you are looking to have success in. We have a free Facebook group. We do book clubs, master classes. And then, of course, we offer group coaching and one-on-one coaching as well, which is more affordable than you would think, because we deeply believe in value in the world. It's a huge reason why we go on podcasts, because we believe in free value and free access to information. And so if any of this spoke to you today, or you have any questions, just reach out.
Okay. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for today's episode of the Go Slow to Go Fast Lifestyle Podcast. If today's conversation resonated with you, something that Amy said or that I said, I'm hoping that you just take a moment to pause and reflect and notice the one small space where you want to make that change, where you want to make that shift, so you can realign with what you truly want. Remember that this is your reminder that you don't have to hustle harder to create a meaningful life. You don't have to hustle harder to get what you want. You just have to be focused and then align your actions with that goal. Because sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is slow down, get clear, and then move with intention. If you enjoyed this episode, I hope that you'll share it with someone in your life who needs to hear this message. And as always, the light in me honors the light in you. And as you head into the rest of your week, let your light shine through. Go slow to go fast, and thanks for listening.